Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's great to see you all again. Today we're diving deep into one of the smartest, most stylish detective movies ever made, Sherlock Holmes 2009, directed by Guy Ritchie and starring Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law. Our story begins in dark, candlelit London streets. Holmes and Watson race through the night to stop a strange ritual being carried out by Lord Henry Blackwood, a nobleman with a reputation for dabbling in black magic. They burst through the doors just in time, saving a young woman from sacrifice. Holmes fights his way through cultists with his signature mix of martial arts and genius precision. Every punch, every move, calculated in advance. It's deduction in motion. Blackwood is arrested and the case seems closed. Another job well done for the legendary detective duo. But this is just the beginning. Soon after, Lord Blackwood is sentenced to death for multiple murders. Before his hanging, he warns Holmes, "Death is only the beginning." Holmes dismisses it as the words of a madman. Blackwood is hanged, officially dead, certified by Dr. Watson himself. The case once again seems neatly wrapped up. Holmes, bored and restless, spends his days shooting walls, experimenting with strange chemicals and avoiding human company. Except for Watson, who's about to move out to marry Mary Morstan. Blackwood is hanged for his crimes. His body hangs limp, motionless, pronounced dead by Dr. Watson himself. He's buried in a sealed tomb. London breathes a sigh of relief, but weeks later the impossible happens. The tomb is found broken open from the inside. Blackwood's coffin shattered, and a witness swears. He saw Blackwood walking the streets again, with a curse. People whisper that Blackwood has risen from the dead, and fear spreads across the city. The newspapers are full of talk about sorcery and the end of days. Scotland Yard calls Holmes back in. Even Inspector Lestrade, who often rolls his eyes at Holmes's antics, knows there's no one else who can handle something this bizarre. Holmes, of course, doesn't believe in magic. To him, everything has an explanation. But even he admits, this time the game is afoot. And just when things couldn't get more complicated, she returns. Irene Adler, the only woman who has ever outsmarted Sherlock Holmes, a thief, a spy, and maybe something more. She walks back into Holmes's life like a storm, charming, dangerous, and always a step ahead. But Holmes suspects she's not here by chance. She's working for someone powerful, mysterious, someone named Professor Moriarty. He's the shadow behind the curtain, the mastermind testing Holmes's limits. Holmes begins piecing together clues from Blackwood's supposed resurrection. He visits laboratories, chemical warehouses, and secret societies, each discovery pulling him deeper into a web of science disguised as sorcery. Sir Thomas Rotherham, who was Blackwood's own father and the leader of the Temple of the Four Orders, a powerful secret society that mixed old rituals, science, and politics. Sir Thomas is terrified because he knew how dangerous his son's obsession with the occult and power had become. But now that Blackwood has supposedly risen from the grave, Sir Thomas fears that something truly dark is happening, something beyond his control. He calls Holmes because he needs logic to fight what everyone else believes is magic. Blackwood, being ambitious and ruthless, believed that he was destined to control the order and reshape the world through fear. So, by taking the ring, he was claiming power, showing that the old leadership was gone and that he was now in command. He had Rotherham poisoned in a way that looked like another magical killing. By making it appear as though the death happened through supernatural means, drowning in his own wash basin, Blackwood both eliminated a threat and strengthened his image as a man who could kill from afar. Soon after, another strange death. A man of the order has burst into flames by his own, as he didn't agree to call the Lord Blackwood as the head of the order. This feels like pure magic. No source of ignition, no explanation. London calls it spontaneous combustion, and Blackwood's followers believe his dark power is spreading. The case soon reveals that Blackwood's plan is much larger than anyone thought. He isn't just pretending to be supernatural. He's using science to simulate sorcery. He wants to control Britain through fear, claiming divine power while secretly building deadly devices. Everything builds up to the grand finale. Blackwood's final plan is to unleash a chemical weapon in the British Parliament and seize control of the empire. A mechanical device hidden under Parliament, designed to release a chemical weapon during a political gathering. It's a scientifically engineered weapon designed to release a lethal cyanide-based gas through the Parliament's ventilation system. Suddenly, the echo of boots fills the tunnel. Blackwood's guards storm in, and a brutal fight breaks out. Blackwood planned to make it seem like a mass death spell, proving his divine power to the world. Holmes, Watson, and Irene race against time. The tension is electric. Gears turning, chains clanking, London's skyline in the mist. He spots a pressure release lever in a glass canister filled with the cyanide solution. Using his keen understanding of chemistry and machinery, Holmes reverses the airflow, redirecting the gas back into the chamber and sealing the main output valve. Holmes confronts Blackwood high above the bridge, the two minds finally face to face. Holmes explains, in true Sherlock fashion, every detail of how Blackwood faked his miracles. Each illusion exposed, each lie shattered. Blackwood faked his death using a paralyzing chemical that slowed his heartbeat so Watson couldn't detect it. Later, one of his loyal followers dug him up and replaced his body with another. It wasn't a miracle, just a plan executed perfectly. Blackwood's father, found drowned, wasn't cursed. He inhaled a paralyzing gas that locked his muscles. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe, and fell face first into the water. A cruel but calculated murder, made to look impossible. The man who burst into flames hasn't done with black magic. Blackwood coated him with phosphorus, a chemical that ignites when exposed to air. Once it started, the fire burned so fast it looked supernatural. In the end, Blackwood's fate is poetic justice. He becomes tangled in his own chains and falls from the half-built bridge, his false magic undone by gravity and truth. The case is closed. The city breathes again. Watson prepares for his marriage, and Holmes, as usual, pretends not to care. Though deep down, we know he'll miss his friend terribly. Irene Adler, the only person who ever managed to outsmart Holmes. Elegant, calm, and always one step ahead. She carries something small wrapped in cloth. A piece of Blackwood's device, the key component that made the weapon work. She slips into a shadowed alley where a mysterious man waits. We never see his face. He stands tall, silent, watching her with the kind of stillness that commands respect. She hands him the piece and says quietly, "He figured it all out. Everything." The man nods, amused. "Of course he did," he replies in a calm, calculated voice. "That's why I'm interested in him." Sherlock Holmes, 2009, isn't just a detective story. It's a perfect blend of mystery, humor, and style. The film reintroduced Holmes for a new generation, not as a quiet man in a study, but as a rock star detective, eccentric, flawed, brilliant, and unstoppable. So next time you hear that violin in the fog, remember, somewhere out there, Sherlock Holmes is still one step ahead of us all. The game is always afoot. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments which movie should I review next.